You become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time. While it can be uncomfortable, a lot of times, like for you to live a better life, you might need to get a better peer group.
Getting fit to be a better salesperson.
It's proven that if you can get your mind working, like it performs better all day, just like if you work out, you burn calories all day. There's a great quote that I read, which is success is never final and failure is never fatal.
Big M, what is up, my man?
I'm good.
You're good? Let's go. Big M, what's up, my man?
What's happening?
What's happening, man? You got the Reggie AI behind you and everything. I need to get me one of those, man. Like,
yeah, buddy.
I know.
Step up.
I got to step up my game, man. Oh, dude. So I was, Hank emailed me and I sent out a newsletter for another pod today. And so Hank always responds and he emailed me and I was like, hey, dude, what should I ask Millen today on this podcast? And he goes, so here's a question. Here's our first podcast question from Hank. How much money did you take from outreach employees over the years playing poker? You have a number? Do you know? Do you know what that is yet?
It's such a good question. I like to think that the table always balances out over time.
Yeah, honestly though, it's like when you buy pizza for your friend group or whatever. Like, dude, you're gonna get me at some point, or you're gonna get me at another point, and like.
I don't play poker with my friends to make money. I play poker with my friends to have a great time, drink scotch, and laugh.
Hey, and I'll say nice things about Big M. And dude, why I wanted you to come on, I'll start here, is because you sent me, so quick story, what year was this? 2018 or 2017? You sent me in a group of 5 other people to Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
Right? Big M, what is up, my man?
I'm good.
You're good? Let's go. Big M, what's up, my man?
What's happening?
What's happening, man? You got the Reggie AI behind you and everything. I need to get me one of those, man. Like,
yeah, buddy.
I know.
Step up.
I got to step up my game, man. Oh, dude. So I was, Hank emailed me and I sent out a newsletter for another pod today. And so Hank always responds and he emailed me and I was like, hey, dude, what should I ask Millen today on this podcast? And he goes, so here's a question. Here's our first podcast question from Hank. How much money did you take from outreach employees over the years playing poker? You have a number? Do you know? Do you know what that is yet?
It's such a good question. I like to think that the table always balances out over time.
Yeah, honestly though, it's like when you buy pizza for your friend group or whatever. Like, dude, you're gonna get me at some point, or you're gonna get me at another point, and like.
I don't play poker with my friends to make money. I play poker with my friends to have a great time, drink scotch, and laugh.
Hey, and I'll say nice things about Big M. And dude, why I wanted you to come on, I'll start here, is because you sent me, so quick story, what year was this? 2018 or 2017? You sent me in a group of 5 other people to Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
Right? You sent us to Tony Robbins, and you were a CRO at Outreach at the time. And you were like, hey, we're going to send a group of people to Tony Robbins. I was one of those people. It was me and like 6 others. And I think it was Unleash the Power Within, and it was in New York.
Yep.
And at first I was like, oh, I don't know about, like, I didn't even really know who Tony Robbins was, to be honest with you. I was like, I think he's like a self-help guru. Like, I'm not really sure. Yeah. And then I looked him up and I was like, I don't know, maybe this is a little woo-woo. We'll see. Right. And so I kind of had this thought, and I went to you and I said, all right, what's the one rule? Like when we go to this event? And you were like, the one rule is you don't sit next to anyone that you know. And I was like, why? Like, why is that? And so we go to the event, and dude, it was one of the most awesome things I've ever done. It was crazy. And you also told me, I remember you telling me this, you said that Tony even though it's a stadium, it's like basically a stadium full of people. This was a hockey arena or
Yep.
whatever. It was like I don't know, the team in the New York.
Probably at the Meadowlands.
Yeah, it was in what's that? There's an airport there. It's like New Jersey, New
New
York.
York.
It was in New York,
Yeah,
and it was the hockey stadium there. And you told me that even though it's a stadium full of people, it feels like Tony is talking to you directly.
that's
And
right.
you're like, that's his superpower. And I was like, no way. I was like, this sounds too crazy to be true. But dude, I went, and I'm not gonna lie. At one point, I felt like I was on some crazy drug. I was like, dude, I feel invincible. Like I feel like I can do anything in the world.
Yeah.
Like this is awesome. And then I came back, and I was just like, I think doing any type of work or sitting at my computer, I was just writing, and my confidence level was just up here. You know, it was just huge. And it just showed me how powerful the mental game really is. You know, like
That's exactly right.
that's the first time I've been experienced that, right? Where I'm like, holy shit, this like most of life is just a mental game. You know, it's like how you handle your mental game, your energy, all that stuff. Uh,
Yeah, there's two things there. Like, thing number one is you realize there's another level. Like, you realize that, and you're one of the most fun, most energetic people I know to start. But then you go to an event like that, you realize, like, holy shit, there's a whole nother level I wasn't even aware of.
yeah,
So that's the first thing. Like, you're aware of just how you can play. But number two, you come back on this high. And how do you keep that going? Like, how do you start incorporating those habits, those rituals into your life where it's not this one time event and then the law of diminishing erosion starts to kick in? Like, how do you make that part of who you are going forward? And then you want that spaced repetition where you go out and get those pops back in, keep you peaked.
yeah. Stay peaked. Stay peaked. Stay peaked. And that, how do you do it? How do you do it? And well, first, we should give people some context on like you were Tony's like right hand man for how long? Like,
I'm not sure right hand man is the.
well, you worked for Tony for what, 15 years or something crazy?
No, 4 years. I ran worldwide sales for Tony for 4 years, and traveled the world with him, and it was an amazing experience.
Wow. There's so much, like, I don't think we've ever really dug into this, which is what I want to do today. But for you, let's talk about this peak mode. Like, what do you do to maintain that peak? Because personally, the problem I have is I've been wanting to get back to that feeling since I've had it. And I'm always like, shoot, do I have to go to another event? Like, well, like, how do I recalibrate and get that feeling back?
Well, a couple things, and you probably need to go back for a dip in the water because, like Tony shares with you in the event, like how to maintain your peak state. So if you think about, there's something called a triad, or there's three drivers that control the state that you're in at any point in time, and you control these. So the first is like, are you using your body? Like, people that move around, engaged, or active, tend to be in a better state than those that are slugging around in front of a TV and not moving for a week at a time. The second thing is what you're focusing on.
Yeah.
Like, if you're focusing on all the stress and all the problems and all the worry, you're going to be in a diminished state. But if you're focused on your potential, the capability, the opportunity in front of you, like, you're going to start getting excited and get into a peak state. Third is the language that you're using, the words that you choose to use. So you want to speak very deliberately. But like, a lot of times, and even my son says, oh, do I have to go to karate today? And I say, you don't have to go to karate. You get to go to karate. And just by reframing, like how we talk about the things that we're doing changes our attitude about it. So use your body, focus on what matters, speak intentionally and deliberately, and you start to manage like how you're showing up and who you're being.
Yeah. And what are some other little tweaks that you do to, like, you mentioned you don't have to, you get to, right? And I remember him talking about that as well. And I'm like, shit, it's such a small thing. But just by changing that, you're like, and I use that every morning when I have to go on a run. I say, no, I don't have to train for my Ironman. I get to train for an Ironman.
I
I
get
get
to.
to. And I'm like, and if you really believe that, you're like, shit, like, I'm grateful for that,
Yeah.
you know? And
Tony, so I learned a lot from Tony, but to answer your question specifically, most people sabotage their day. And here's what I mean by
ooh,
that.
ooh,
I said,
I said,
huh?
ooh, this is good. I want to hear this. I want to hear this.
So if I said, hey, Andrew, what would it take for you to have an amazing day today?
I would say
Like, what would you say would have to happen to have an amazing day?
I'd get my workout in. I'd get to spend time with my wife and my son, and I would be disciplined enough to eat healthy all day. Like that's a good day.
It's great.
Yeah.
So you're a champion. Like most people, like they list off all these things that have to happen to be a great day. You want to just do your work, spend time with your loved ones, eat well. That's fantastic. Like you're likely. But if I said, hey, what could be a lousy day? People have a list a mile long. So what happens is like what it takes to be lousy is so available, and what it takes to be great is so limited. So like to have a great day is set up through sabotage, like it won't happen for most people. So you want to say, hey, a great day is all these things could happen. And a bad day is just this little sliver. Like you just inverse what makes a great day. And then you can set yourself up
Yeah.
to have a great day because you just shift what you're focusing on back to state and what would enable you to feel like you had a great day.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like that the inversion law, or let's call it the inversion rule, right? Which is like keeping it simple. And I think a lot of people today too, on this, it made me think of this is like, you'll hear a lot of people like, oh, I feel like shit lately or whatever. And then you ask your buddy, well, what have you been doing? And then you figure out they've been eating like shit.
Right.
They haven't been like working towards anything. They've been just watching Netflix. Don't get me wrong, I love Netflix. I'll sit and watch it with my wife, nothing bad with it. But like, and then they sit and scroll on their phone all day of people's best moments. And then when you dig into that, you're like, well, no wonder you feel like poop, right? Like, look at what you're doing all day. And it goes back to like almost auditing yourself for what that might be. I don't know. Maybe there's some Tony move there, but like, I don't think enough people audit themselves and then say, how does what I'm doing all day translate to my mood? Which sounds easy, but I feel like just a lot of us miss that at times.
Think of it this way, Big A. You become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And while it can be uncomfortable, a lot of times, like for you to live a better life, you might need to get a better peer group.
Yeah.
Like the people that you've historically spent a lot of time with, you can outgrow some relationships. It doesn't mean you ignore them completely, but like aspire to the folks that you aspire to. Like spend time with people that you consider mentors. Spend time with people that can help you get to where you want to go. Spend time with people that are doing the things that you want to be doing, living the way you want to be living. Like spend time there and move your average up. But what you don't want to do is stay where you are, wish, hope, and dream.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so that we hear that all the time, right? You're the average of the 5 people. The hard part there is like letting go. Like how do you we've all got those friends, you still hang out with, and you're like, I love this guy though, but like he's probably not the best for where I want to go.
Yeah, I mean, you can hang out, but you don't live there. Like, that's not your only friend group, and you may not spend as much time. But I would say, like, find people you admire, and like, how do I get to spend time there too?
Yeah. And what are some other like big Tony kind of ideals or methodologies or whatever we want to call them, principles that you still stick with every day? And I know this guy has like hundreds, right? But like, what are the big ones that I think you stick with every day and that you think a lot of sellers or sales reps be good for them to kind of like be aware of, right? I think that would be kind of an interesting overlap there.
Yeah, I think it's incorporating like rituals into your day and getting better habits. Like most people have bad habits.
Yeah.
And like the only way to get rid of a habit is to replace it with a better habit. Like read the book, The Power of Habit. It's fantastic. But people typically have bad habits. Like get better habits, better rituals in your life. Like that's number one. Like just, yeah, and you talk about this about yourself. Like, you incorporate exercise into your day. I mean, you're pretty disciplined. You go out of your way to eat right. I know you cheated on that weight loss thing we did together when you put off the scale. I remember that.
Yeah, you remember that?
But like people need better habits. Like I always, when we hire like a new rep and we give them a script, like we give you a script because if you're not trained what to say, you fall back to habit, and people have bad habits, right? So you got to insert like better conversation, better activity, better mindset, because most people like don't have that. So like get better standards into your life. Like just like we were joking at the beginning, like step up. Like you've got to step up into a higher standard, and you do that through better habits, better rituals.
Yeah, and I think one interesting thing I remember from this Tony Robbins thing was he was like every time you step into a room, right when you're under the door, you basically say like, "Honey, I'm home," or something like that, right? Like that's the attitude you want going into every room, like yelling, "Honey, I'm home," or it was something like that. I might be butchering it, but I thought, I was like, holy crap, that's amazing, right? Because then you go in and you exude that energy into whatever business meeting you're going into or whatever.
You're placing yourself in a state that you're where you're comfortable, where you were meant to be. Like, so if you use that, like I'm home, like you're comfortable at home, you're meant to be at home. So when you walk into a foreign environment and you can declare I'm home, like you're declaring I'm meant to be here and I'm comfortable in this environment. You're declaring it to yourself and to the room.
Yeah.
Even if they don't hear you doing that, like you're declaring it in your presence.
Yeah. And it's fun. I've used that trick a couple of times. Obviously I don't yell it out loud, but when I'm like, I've gotten into some meetings where I'm like, shit, I'm nervous. And you kind of like, you're like, I'm nervous. Right. And then you're like, I keep telling myself, all right, when I walk into the meeting room, just in your head say, "Honey, I'm home." And for me, instantly I do that in my head. I'm just like, I get an instant smile, because I'm instantly like, oh man, like this is all.
Well, you got a little girl,
little
right?
boy.
You have a little girl?
Little boy, yeah.
Little boy. Okay, great. You have little A. So one of the things that I do before I go on stage is I look at a picture of my daughter. Like the last thing I do before I jump up on stage is I look at a picture of my daughter, and it makes me smile both inside and outside. And fear cannot coexist with feeling grateful or gratitude. Like the two emotions can't coexist. So if you can fill yourself up with a grateful or gratitude emotion before you jump up on stage feeling great and grateful, as opposed to stressed out and nervous, like it changes your entire energy as you take the stage and then establish yourself. That's another way to do it. Another thing is there's a song I listen to the first 30 seconds. Before I look at the picture, I listen to 30 seconds of a song that brings me right back in the state. You get the chills, like it brings you right back into the look at the picture, and then you're unstoppable. Like nothing.
What song is
that? Life Will Never Be the Same.
Okay, nice.
And if you know, it's the primary song from the event that you were referencing with Tony. But I'll never forget, I was at the Excel Center in London. I was on the back production riser, 15,000 screaming Europeans between me and the front stage. And I just envisioned like that song and the people, the energy. And immediately, like it just brings me back to this point of unstoppability.
Yeah, and it kind of like, that's interesting. It goes back to, man, kind of like tricking your brain, right? Like just tricking your brain to be like, dude, everything's cool. Like you're fine and everything's good. Yeah. Which I guess the formal way of saying that is your state, and
you're not tricking your brain. What you're doing is you're bringing yourself to where you want to be. Like, so even the language there, you're not tricking your brain. You've conditioned yourself to learn how to manage your state and how to move yourself into the state that you need to be. No trickery. In fact, if we were to boil all of this down, it's that success is a science. There's a science to success, and there's an art to fulfillment.
Yeah.
And a lot of what, I learned from Tony personally, while spending time with him as well as being with him in front of lots of people, is that like Tony shares the science and the art.
Yeah. And that's what I noticed with him too, is like he would explain, and you have to believe him too, because he's like, he's the mentor to ex-presidents, to all these people. Yeah. And you're just like, okay, well, this guy must know something. He must know that it's proven, right? Like he's proven this stuff over and over and over again. And like people want to continue to ask him to pay, I think it's like $1 million a year you have to pay him to get mentored, or some crazy number. Like, and you get to chat with him 3 times a year or something. It's just insane. But it's worth it. Shit, if I had the money, Fun. And so I was watching something interesting about this mind game again, right? Or being in the state you want to be in. I was watching something recently, Full Swing on Netflix. It's like this show of the elite golfers, right? The PGA/live golfers, now just PGA, I guess. But and there was this episode where they were talking about sports psychologists and how a couple of people started to get these sports psychologists. A few of the golfers were like, that's dumb. Like, I don't need a sports psychologist. I'm playing golf, whatever. But then you see this transformation in them after they get the sports psychologist, and their game is totally changed, right? Like, now, did they actually get better at golf? Not really, but they changed the state that they were in, right? They've been swinging that thing. So how have they been playing this game for 20 years and practicing for 20 years, and then in 6 months change their game enormously? Yeah. And it goes back to this like sports psychologist thing where I'm like, holy crap, like that's the power of this like mental state. And it made me think like, I kind of want to get like a business psychologist, right? That's like someone that's like always looking at you and your game just mentally, not the numbers, not the crazy stuff, but like mentally where you're at all the time and getting you to that level of potential. It's almost getting that like Tony Robbins Unleash the Power Within feeling, but like having someone help you get there every day and hold you accountable, And I don't know if those exist or there's a different term for them, but have you ever thought about that? Like, am I saying something completely stupid right now?
No, in fact, Tony has an event called Business Mastery, which is basically the event you did for personal growth and development, for business growth.
Okay.
So he actually has it's either a 3 or 4 day event now. All around the world he does them, but it's basically where entrepreneurs come in and get their mind right around the business. It's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
And then from the coaches or psychologists, like Tony has coaches that work with individuals, and then he has a team of coaches that work with business professionals. At unlocking and getting people to be their best.
Okay, so he's already thought of this. Of course, he's already figured this out, man. He's already figured this out. But I'm like, shoot, I kind of want to get something like that, or like at some point where it's like the executive coach, but not just the executive coach, but like the executive coach psychologist, right? That just kind of help me maintain that peak state, not just worried about the numbers and all the the stuff we worry about in software. So yeah, have you heard of this? Have you seen this guy? His name's like Andrew. I forget. He's on Instagram right now. It's like Andrew something, where his whole shtick is about like getting fit to be a better salesperson. Have you seen this guy? Okay.
I have not.
And he literally has this rule. He had this Instagram post that I recently saw, and he goes, if you don't have a 6-pack at my company, I don't want you working here. And I'm like, that sounds a little intense. And he's like very intense, right? And he's like, if you don't have a 6-pack, I don't want you working here. He goes, because trust me, you're never going to find a fit person that's not doing well at their job. He's like, that is unheard of. If you're getting up to go to the gym every day and doing all this, it's a little bro-y for sure. But like, he kind of makes a good point.
There's a message underneath it. And I would take the six pack as a metaphor, meaning if you've got the discipline to keep yourself in shape, then you've got the discipline to do your job at a high level. And what I would say or translate it is how you do anything is how you do everything. So if you keep yourself in shape, you keep your professional life in shape. You keep your relationship. Now, not everybody keeps everything in shape, but I will say, like what you'll see are patterns in people. For instance, if you came over to my house to buy a used bike for your son, and I open my garage door and everything's put away, immaculate, the floor's epoxy, everything's spotless, what would you assume the condition of the used bike to be?
Oh, immaculate. Yeah.
Perfect.
Immaculate. Yeah.
Well, and you didn't even see it yet. But if I open up my garage door and balls fall out and stuff's flying all over the place, and I have to unpile crap off the bike to show it to you, so it's like this metaphor for how you do anything is how you do everything. And if you can keep yourself tight, you can keep your business tight.
Yeah. This reminds me, I read I forget, it was like I'll Teach You How to Be Rich book by Ramit Sethi or Sathi or whatever. And he has something similar to that. And he goes, if you ever buy a new car, keep all the receipts of the oil changes, of all the work you've done on the car, anything you've done, because guess what? When you go to sell it, people are going to know, guess what? This guy took freaking good care of this car. Right. Exactly. And I'm like, shit, it's very similar. And it makes a good point, right? Where it's like, man, it is so true. It is so true on that side. And I will say, like, it's kind of interesting. If I miss my workout, going back to this in the morning, it's probably me playing mental games with myself or not. But my state is screwed up. Like I don't feel right. Yeah. I feel like I kind of feel like a piece of crap, if I'm being honest. I feel like a piece of shit. Like I'm like, I didn't get my workout in. Like I didn't do the one thing that I'm supposed to do every day in the morning. And I kind of feel like a dummy.
But don't do that. So I work out two different ways.
Yeah.
My mornings, I actually work out my mind, not my body.
How do you do that?
And it's proven that if you can get your mind working, it performs better all day. Just like if you work out, you burn calories all day. I work out at night, but I work out my mind in the morning. So I wake up at 4:45 every day. And I take an hour, I'm going to learn something new. I'm going to learn some renewable energy or some green energy. I'm going to learn a new way to make my pizza dough. But I am going to challenge myself every day to learn something I didn't know in an area. And then I'm going to watch one of the late night monologues because I don't stay up for those and just get a laugh. But I do. I work my brain out in the morning before I get going. I just don't jump into work. I want to get thinking the way I want to be thinking, and then I'm going to jump into work. And then at night, when my energy's falling off, because I'm 61 now, so I get to.
You got that good skincare routine, man. You got that good skincare routine going. You're looking good, man.
Hey, anything to resume. But then at night, and I don't want to go to the gym at night. I go to the gym, and then I'm 5 minutes in my workout, I feel great. I kind of bookend my day with two different kinds of workouts. But if you miss a workout, it's not the end of the day, and that shouldn't take it out because you've chosen to do something else, and then you'll figure out how to get that workout in.
Yeah, I like that. And I don't know how people get straight to work. I mean, I could do it definitely. But then when I do it, I feel like I'm more anxious throughout the day, and I'm just not as productive. Right. Because I didn't take time to warm up per se, as you mentioned, right? I didn't get time to warm up. And for me, I'm not as creative. I'm not as productive unless I work out in the morning. And I've learned that about myself. After I work out, I have my energy. I feel good. I'm going to be honest with you. I worked out this morning. I still haven't showered. I just put a nice shirt on. So, luckily you can't smell me from there. Right. But hopefully I don't look too terrible. Luckily, the recording software doesn't give you.
All I can say is you must have a great relationship with your listeners because you just put it all out there.
I mean, I'm human, I'm just trying to be human, Big M. That's it, man. Just trying to be human.
So I got to tell the listeners, like, back in the day, I bet Andrew was trying to lose like 10 pounds or 15 pounds.
Yeah.
And we did the official weigh-in, and he only put one of his legs on the scale. It was beautiful.
And you were like, what the hell just happened? How'd you do that? Uh,
I looked down and just like, dude, you have to put both feet on the scale for this to work.
yeah, that's always trying to hack the system, always trying to always trying to be
Oh,
efficient, I'll put one leg on, only half my weight.
yeah, I love it. You're a winner. You're a winner.
Found the shortcut, man. Found the shortcut. All right. Next thing I want to talk to you about. Okay, let's get into
Yeah.
this, which is, and this is from Hank actually. So Hank Wells, because he gave me a list of questions, and I told him, you know what, I'm going to ask them. These are some good ones. So he said, a guy worked for you. This is Hank. Hank is saying this. He's saying, he said, you had a ton of patience when reps made mistakes. Other VPs would
Yep.
have reacted negatively, and you kept your cool. How do you do this so damn well?
So I got mad love for Hank. Hank's one of my favorite new hire stories of all time. I think a couple things. Like, we all make
Mm-hmm.
mistakes. And I have patience when you make a mistake. I lose patience when you keep making the same mistake. So let's be clear
Okay.
around
Yeah.
around mistakes. But there's a great quote that I read, which is, success is never final and failure is never fatal. And what that tells me is, like, don't get too cocky at the top and have a little grace at the bottom, right? Like, stay human through the process. And, you got a new rep, joining a fast growing company, a lot of pressure to make numbers. The team's doing well around
Mm-hmm.
you. The last thing they need is the fear of God from their leadership, around mistakes. When what I want my team to think is, hey, leadership is engaged, leadership is supportive, leadership works for me and helps me win. And if I'm coming down on every little mistake they're making, it kind of blows up, the culture and the environment that I want to create. So as long as you don't keep making the same mistake over and over, it's all good. Like, we all make mistakes when we're learning and growing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it reminds me of that thing, like, you know, having seen lots of managers through the days and just talking about this leadership is, I think the best leaders, managers, kind of, if I were to wrap it all up, is, well, let's talk about the worst so we can make the worst I've seen, and then we'll go back to the best. The worst make almost everything a problem that doesn't need to be a problem. And for me,
Right.
how I boil that down is, like, when everything's a problem, then nothing's really a problem. It's just annoying, you
That's
know? And so it goes back to, like, picking your battles. And this is the same thing in, like, relationships, not just like managers, but like
yeah,
personal relationships, you
yeah,
know, and like, it's picking your battles, right? If everything's an issue, then you don't really understand what is an
right.
issue if everything's an issue, right? And so, um, I would say the best, going back to this, know how to pick those battles, and right, know the people that are reporting to you, know, oh shoot, Millen's going to get mad, or he's going to be very upset if we do this wrong, and they know the boundaries, right? And that's good, and I think that's great for culture, because when you know the boundaries, you know when not to overstep the boundaries. Whereas on the opposite spectrum, you're like, shoot, tiptoeing, because you're like, well, maybe everything's going to be a problem, and then, like, you don't have wiggle room to be like, hey, am I doing everything okay? You know?
I also think, like, if we're honest with ourselves, like, let's just say anyone makes a mistake, but in this case, a rep makes a mistake. That rep may have done what they were told to do, but they're the ones executing. And it would, like, the problem could have been in what they were told to do, how they were trained, the information they were given. And they're the execution layer. So it's where the misinformation or misdirection shows up. So it could be that, like, the rep was actually doing what they were told and it's a mistake. So I don't assume when there's a mistake that just because Big
Mm-hmm.
A did something wrong that it was you. Like, what if we gave you bad advice, bad direction, bad information, and you, as a new rep, you were just doing what you were told? So you also have to have a little patience to understand, why did the mistake happen? Like, are we not training correctly? Are we not onboarding correctly? Are we not giving someone the right enablement to be great? Or was it a failure in execution? If I just jump to failure in execution, I could be wrong.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you got to figure out why the mistake happened.
Yeah. And now, I mean, this is good not just for sales, but like that's good for every type of leadership, right? Like instead of going straight to like this person had an issue, is like finding the root cause versus going directly to like pointing the fingers.
Yeah, we had a deal like that happen where like a rep, we did a roadmap presentation. The rep did exactly what was on the roadmap. And then it comes in and like people are like, oh, we don't do this. And we had made a switch in the roadmap on 2 features and we didn't tell sales. So the rep didn't do anything wrong. Like we didn't provide updated information. It was our mistake, not the rep's mistake.
Yeah.
So that's why you'll see patience, because not everything is the way it looks.
Yeah, so true. What's the fastest you've driven your race car? That's one of Hank's questions. What's the fastest you've driven your race car? For context, well, you could give some context, Matt. You also used to race cars. I don't know how long ago that is, or if you're still doing it, but you know, earlier in your career, you were like a race car driver.
Yeah, I stopped in the early 2000s. But I think the fastest I've gone on a racetrack, like 172, 173 miles an hour, I think is my fastest
on track. Yeah, man. And going back to this, you had an analogy one time, and you actually wore your tracksuit on stage in what was this, 2018 or something? Unleash. Yeah, it was 2018 Unleash. You wore the tracksuit and you talked about the F1, how fast they come in and for a pit stop and change tires, which is like around 2.3 seconds on average or something. And you tied that back to sales. And what was that? Remind me of that, because that was such a good one there.
Yeah, so I actually used tire changing as a metaphor for the amount of technology and role specialization that's worked its way into sales. So here's the metaphor of the analogy. Like if you think about it, I started selling in 1987. I did everything. There was no email, no internet. I set meetings in the morning. I ran meetings in the afternoon. I tried to handle my accounts when I wasn't running around. And then, so like everybody, you did everything. Like you did everything. And that's like if you get a flat tire, driving down the road, you get a flat tire. You weren't expecting it. You pull over, you change your tire, you jack it up. Like you're doing everything. Then comes, sales engagement. So a little bit of technology comes in, little role specialization. The SDRs break out top of funnel, success breaks out post sale. AEs are closers, right? So you got some role specialization, you got some technology. Well, that's like a NASCAR pit stop. You got 6 guys that jump over the wall. You know, they're changing tires on half the car at a time. There's still 5 lug nuts that recently just changed to 1. But there's a jack there's a bunch of people running around. They're fueling it up. And that takes like 12 to 14 seconds. Now, changing your own tire takes like 20 minutes. So with some role specialization, with some technology, some training that went in, like the team is trained. They train all week to do it. You do it in 12, 14 seconds. But then F1 car pulls in. And it's completely different. Like F1 is like AI for sales. Where you can do the fastest F1 pit stop is 1.83 seconds. Average is like low 2s. And basically the F1 car pulls in to a half circle of 21 people. And it stops. And the car goes up in the air. And everybody does one thing fast. Like one thing. Not running around. Like everyone stands there and does their one thing. And they change all 4 tires in like literally under 2 seconds. So a couple of things here though. So how do we get from 20 minutes to 2 seconds? Well, we did it through increased role specialization. Instead of 6 people versus 1 people, now it's 20 people versus 6 people. There's more technology in the car. There's more technology that the people are using around it. But there's also something that gets overlooked, which is what's not getting done in an F1 pit stop. What's not getting done is they're not refueling the car. And they're not refueling the car because that takes so much longer than they can change the tires. And carrying the extra fuel for the whole race is less punitive than refueling during a pit stop. So you start learning, it's a great metaphor, like what shouldn't I be doing? And that's the AI today. Let the AI offload all the stuff you shouldn't be doing. And there's more role specialization, there's more technology to help you be great faster. So that's what I use.
Yeah, well, now you can recycle that for AI too, because you're running Reggie AI. So
I'm recycling it, bro.
There we go. That I love that analogy, man, which is like in going into this, everyone's saying SDRs are dying, or all the outbound's dead. Da, 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 da.
Now let's pause there. Like outbound is not dead. Bad outbound is dead.
Spring
SDRs aren't dying. SDRs that don't do tasks are in a tough spot. So I think what's happening is, just like we started this whole conversation, like there's a new bar of excellence in sales today versus 12 years ago. And the new bar is the quality of your engagement, the quality of your messaging, the quality of your precision. Like, you've got to be better today, but there are tools and technology that allow you to operate at a better level, faster, and to drive impact and engagement that weren't available just a year ago.
And that's what I've been trying to boil it down to, or what kind of, I thought about this on a run the other day, and I was like, it's never dead. It's just the rules of the game have changed. The game has changed. It's like the rules have been updated, right? Like, and the analogy that I was thinking of and trying to compare this to is like when Instagram came out, people were like, "Ooh, photographers are dead." Like photographers are going to lose their jobs. And now everyone can be a photographer with these filters and their phones and their cameras and like, oh, this is the end of like photography. Well, guess what? It actually made more photographers. And then the ones that were really good at actual photography had a better chance to stand out. Right. Exactly. And I see the same thing happening here, is that like, guess what? I think this AI is going to make more, honestly, give us more ways of doing this outbound, but the ones that are really good at it are going to be the ones that shine, right? Very similar thing. And it's not going to kill them. It's going to make more, if anything, in my opinion. So that's kind of where I'm, my synopsis of
it. AIs. So my SDR team here, we love our team. They're still here. And the AI sets 42% of all the meetings.
42% of all the meetings is done by AI. Holy moly. What's the AI doing? Like, what is it? Is it sending the emails, booking the, like, what's it doing to book the meeting?
So we've pushed AI from content generation to task execution. The AI goes into Salesforce, looks what you're winning, then goes out to your lead provider and is constantly building lists. We call audience expansion. It then understands who those prospects are, generates personalized contextual messaging, and we do dynamic messaging, no predetermined sequencing. So we're looking for intent signals, engagement signals. If there's nothing there, we'll just nurture your prospect instead of burning them out and opt out or not subscribe. And then we do all the cold outbound. And then when they're ready for follow-up, we shoot up a task inside of Outreach or Sales Loft and tell the rep to call this person or whatever the follow-up is. Or half the time, they just respond back, I'll take the meeting, no follow-up needed. So we either get the direct meeting or it takes one follow-up.
Wow, dude, that is crazy. And yes, that is, and you're taking out all the boring stuff that people dread. Which is,
we're taking out the part of the work that people don't like to do, because like the old way, if you had 100 prospects, and there were 3 phone calls in the sequence and a manual email or 2, like you're doing that 100 times, all that effort, when only 3 or 5 of them even want to talk to you, but all of them are getting the same effort. The AI can take all of that effort off and then only serve up the effort required around the 3 or 5. So your reps are happier, your prospects are happier because they're getting better messaging only when they want it. And it's more impactful, more engaging, and quite frankly, better results.
And I mean, this AI stuff is getting crazy, man. And you, It's getting crazy. Like
Crazy.
you've seen the I don't know if you saw that video of Figure, like the robot company, and OpenAI had a partnership. And yeah, I'll send you this video that just came out yesterday. We kind of went viral, but this robot, this guy's like, "Hey, fold these clothes," or not fold the clothes, but put this. It had like dishes in front of it. Grab one of the dishes and put it in the drying rack, and it was like, "Okay, I'll do that." Boom, boom, put it right in. Hands move. It looked like a human, like hands moving, fingers, thumbs, like,
Yeah.
and you're like, "Holy crap, this is crazy!" Like, are we gonna have like AI is like actual things in our homes in like 10 years that are like, doing our chores? Like, it's insane, man. It's insane. It blows my mind every time. And you're building an AI product, I'm building one, and I'm like, okay, this stuff's amazing, just kind of in our world, software, but like imagine it with these robots. And I'm honestly scared these robots are going to take over one day. Like, I'm actually, I joke about it, but I'm actually pretty serious, and I'm kind of scared about it. Like, it keeps me up at night, like thinking about that sometimes. Like,
well, I'm glad you're worrying about it now.
Yeah, because I am, and I know Elon's worried about it, and he's like, this could get serious, and I'm like, I can see that too, So who knows, man? But Big M, this has been amazing, dude.
Spending time with you is always fun. You're one of my favorite people.
You are too, man. We'll do that, my man. But
all
hey,
right,
good catching up with you, dude. Thank you for everything. I'm here if you need anything. Text away. All right, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Likewise.
Cheers, brother. Talk to you soon. Later.